Hi people, welcome back to my channel A to Z English Literature channel. So friends, today I am going to talk about T.S.Eliot's theory of impersonality. So what is theory of impersonality? So it means it refers to the concept of impersonal relationship between a man as a poet and as a general man. So it means the concept of impersonal relationship between a man as a poet and as a general man. According to T.S.Eliot, a poet should have two distinct personalities, and he as a poet should uphold no any relation with that of his personal self with composing his poetry. The poet entirely disregards the autobiographical nature of the poetry as was prevalent in the Romantic age. Eliot says that while composing poetry, a poet shouldn't have a personal self or being which is backed up by several personal experiences or backgrounds. So, while composing poetry, he shouldn't have slightly influenced by any of his personal or historical experience that may lay even a minimal impact over his poetic composition. So, the personal experiences are not to be associated with the theme of poetic composition, but rather to be kept identical and separate from it, right? According to him, there are two constants of composing the poetry: the personal elements, that is the feelings and emotions of the poet, and the other one being the impersonal element, which is the tradition or the accumulated knowledge, information and wisdom acquired from the past by the poet. So these two elements fuse together to form a new thing which is called poem. Do you get that point? According to his view, the past is never dead. It lives in the present, and no poet or no artist has his complete meaning alone. So he says like this: no poet or no artist has his complete meaning alone. In the next part of the theory, he examines the relation of the poet to the poem. According to him, the poem has no relation to the poet. The difference between the mind of a mature poet and an immature one is that a mature poet has more finely perfected medium. T.S.Eliot thinks that the poet and the poem are two separate things. The feeling or emotion or vision resulting from the poem is something different from feeling, emotion and vision in the mind of the poet. The art emotion is different from personal emotion. In other words, the poet should be passive and impersonal. To explain the theory, Eliot has brought the analogy of chemical reaction. Shall we go to a chemistry lab? So Jennifer, do you get that point? Do you understand theory of impersonality? Okay, fine. Then tell me, what is theory of impersonality?
Thank you, ma'am, for this question. The theory of impersonality of poetry is a natural corollary to Eliot's concept of tradition. In the first section of tradition and the individual talent, Eliot discussed the relation between the poet and the past. In the second section, he examines the relation between the poet and his poetry. The mind of the poet is likened to a catalyst. The catalyst accelerates a chemical reaction, but it remains inert, neutral, and unchanged. The more perfect the artist, the more completely separate in him will be the man who suffers and the mind which creates.
So Jennifer, can you please explain the chemical reaction?
Ma'am, T.S.Eliot has brought the analogy of chemical reaction to explain the theory of impersonality. When oxygen and sulfur dioxide are mixed in the presence of a filament of platinum, they form sulfuric acid. So, this combination takes place only when platinum is present. So, platinum is the catalyst that helps to process of chemical reaction, but it itself is apparently unaffected.
I am greatly happy, dear Jennifer. Well explained. So, in this essay, T.S.Eliot's Tradition and Individual Talent, Eliot explains his theory of impersonality by examining first the relation of the poet to the past and secondly the relation of the poem to its author. According to his view, the past is never dead, it lives in the present. No poet or no artist has his complete meaning alone. And in the next part of the theory, he examines the relation of the poet to the poem. According to him, the poem has no relation to the poet. So, students, did you understand the topic? When oxygen and sulfur dioxide are mixed, in the presence of a filament of platinum, they form sulfuric acid, right? So, this combination takes place only when platinum is present, right? So, platinum is the catalyst that helps to process of chemical reaction, but it itself is apparently unaffected. So, platinum is the catalyst that helps to process of chemical reaction, but it itself is apparently unaffected. Do you get that point? So, the mind of the poet is the shred of platinum, and its presence may be necessary for partly or exclusively to operate for the combination of the experience in order to give birth to a piece of poetry. So, the emotion of art is impersonal and it has its life in the poem and not in the history of poets. So, honest criticism and sensitive appreciation is directed not upon the poet but upon the poetry. So friends, I am concluding my topic. So in the first section of tradition and the individual talent, Eliot discusses the relation between the poet and the past. And in the second section, he examines the relation between the poet and his poetry. And the mind of the poet is likened to a catalyst. So these are the points to remember. The first is the relation between the poet and the past, and the second one is the relation between the poet and his poem, and the last one, the mind of the poet is likened to a catalyst. So the mind of a poet is likened to a catalyst, and the catalyst accelerates a chemical reaction, but it remains inert, neutral and unchanged. Okay, so the effect of a work on one who enjoys it is exclusively an art experience. So the emotion of a poem is not the poet's emotion, it's an art emotion. Okay, do you get that point? It's an art emotion. So the poet has no personality to express but a medium which is only a medium and not a personality. So, it is in this context Eliot finds fault with Wordsworth's theory of emotions recollected in tranquility. So, Eliot opposes the romantic conception by advancing his theory of impersonality in art and opines that the artistic process is a process of depersonalization and that the artist will surrender himself totally to the creative work. So friends, I hope you understand this topic very well. So I will be back with another video very soon. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, stay safe. Bye-bye.